What's up? Oh, hello, baby. Hi, baby. Hi, guys. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 10. Today Ben is coming over, so I don't know what this vlog is going to contain. Probably just a bunch of little life inserts, nothing exciting. And baby cat staring at you guys. You're scary. Sorry the light's so bright. I don't know, the sun's out for once. Whoa. So yeah, I guess we'll see what we get up to. You're so cute. Look at you. Baby. Hey guys, alright, so first of all, this vlog is going to go up late. I know I'm doing really poorly at this Vlogmas thing. I started off good and then it just went downhill. But I thought that this is Vlogmas Day 10 and I thought I would insert my top 10 book recommendations since, you know, it's like gift giving season. I thought I'd help you guys out. I think I have something on the list for just about everybody. Nonfiction, fiction, manga, things like that. And I will be leaving the links in my description, so if you want to buy them, you can use my link, and I get a percentage of it, and you get a book/gift. So yeah, it benefits both of us. Alright, my first recommendation is Birth by Tina Cassidy. And this is a book that I've talked about multiple times on my channel. It's so good. I've read it once all the way through, and then a couple times I've like gone back to reference the book. But it essentially talks about the history of birth giving, like tools that were used early birth ceremonies, and like when C-sections started and all of that. Just things that you kind of vaguely think about but never probably really look too far into it. So she talks about all of this and it's really interesting. So like perhaps if you are having a baby or know somebody having a baby, or if you just want to learn about birth, I think it's great. I think I think everybody should read it. Baby, what are you eating? Don't eat random things. My second recommendation would be anything by Murakami Ryu. He is a Japanese novelist, not to be mistaken with the other popular Haruki Murakami. He is a little more ambiguous. He is very eccentric. He's incredibly eccentric. He's so cool. His style is kind of like horror. I guess it depends novel to novel, but he does a few horror ones. My top 3 recommendations from him, though, would be Coin Locker Babies, Piercing, and In the Miso Soup. I feel like Piercing is probably one of his more popular ones. That one was also turned into a movie, so maybe start with that one. But the other two, if you want to get really, really into his head, I feel like Coin Locker Babies, that one is really weird. So yeah, that's a good one. Those are my top 3 faves from him, but he has quite a few. Number 3 is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This book is based on this kid. He goes to school. He's from California. He's this poor kid, and he goes to school over in the Northeast. I want to say it's like Philadelphia or Massachusetts or something. And so he's like out of his league because it's all these rich kids, and he joins this Greek club where they're learning like actual Greek, and everybody's really smart, and it's like a murder mystery type book, and it's really really cool, and it held my attention throughout the whole book. After I would say about the 5th or 6th chapter, I kind of just plowed through it, and it's quite a thick book. It's around 300 or more pages, so it's not a small book, but it was just so interesting I couldn't put it down. Number 4 is In the Wake of the Plague by Norman F. Cantor. This one is nonfiction. Number 1 was nonfiction as well, Birth by Tina Cassidy, but I'm sure you guessed that based on the description. But yeah, In the Wake of the Plague by Norman F. Cantor, and this one is about the Black Plague. And it's a really long book. But I really like Norman F. Cantor's writing style because it doesn't just feel like you're reading a textbook. He makes it sound interesting. And I feel like that is an issue with a lot of nonfiction books, especially pertaining to history. I think they can get really drab, even if the topic is interesting. Number 5 is Battle Royale by Takumi Koshin. I think that's his name. This one, I feel like a lot of people know about this book already, but if you haven't read it, you should, or like give it to somebody else to read, because I forgot we're talking about giving gifts to people. Yeah, definitely would recommend this one. So it's a Japanese novel. It's based in Japan, and essentially the Japanese government, each year they send a middle school, I think it's middle school, class to a different place in Japan, usually like an island, and they have to essentially like battle royale. Only one person is allowed to leave, and they do this in order to eliminate the weak in their society. And oh my gosh, it's just a really interesting book, and I'm sure the concept isn't super original, but it's really cool. Definitely either pick it up for yourself or for, whoever you're gift shopping for. Number 6 is Honey and Clover, and this is a manga, and it was hard to pick a manga recommendation because I didn't want to recommend one that's too long, because that's kind of impractical, especially if you're giving it as a gift. And I don't know, there's not too many good one-shot manga that I've read. So this one, though, I think it's slice of life. It's based on artists, and I think a lot of people would be into it because it covers shoujo, and I think a lot of guys are into slice of life, but it's not too shoujo that you're like, I'm not super into this romance thing. But yeah, it's one of my favorite manga. It's only, I think, 12 volumes long, but even if you just get them started with like the first one or the first 3, I think it's a good start, and I think they'll like it enough that they would keep buying it and reading it. Number 7, True Story of Hansel and Gretel by Louise Murphy. This one, if you're into World War II, it's one of my favorite fictional World War II books. Essentially, the author, she takes the story of Hansel and Gretel and mashes it up with World War II, and it's about these two, I want to say, Polish kids. Their mom, she like dyes their hair, and she renames them Hansel and Gretel and sends them off to live with this old Polish lady in the woods where the Nazis haven't taken over yet. And she just sends them into hiding with them. And it's so cool. It's like it goes through them having to hide in the furnace, and they're like living on 1 potato a day between the 3 of them, and it's just really good. It's really sad, but it's good. And yeah, read that one. Number 8, Dream Boy by Jim Grimsley. This one is not an erotic. It's a gay literature. Gay literature? Is that the proper term? It's about this young gay couple in the 50s, maybe the 70s, somewhere between the 50s and 70s, and it's like in this really rural, small town that, like, you know, being homosexual is not okay necessarily. And the kid, the main kid in the story, he's in high school. He's like being abused by his father, and he has a crush on this other kid in school who's, I think, he's older, but he drives this school bus. And so it's just about like a coming of age and like figuring out your sexuality kind of story. And I thought it was really good, especially because it was set in this time period where it was a lot less okay to be homosexual, and he had to deal with the bullying and abusive parents. It deals with a lot of heavy topics, but it's a great read. I read some of his other books, I want to say, and they were really good too, but this one stood out to me the most, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, number 9 is The Magnolia Story by Chip and Joanna Gaines. Somebody once called me a Chip and Joanna Gaines weeaboo, which is really funny, but also not totally inaccurate because I freaking love them. They have an HGTV show called Fixer Upper, and they're just so cool. They're like everything I like and want. They live on a farm, they like renovate houses, and Joanna, she's like so, she seems really business savvy and really smart and super artsy. And then Chip, he's like funny and he's really into animals. And like on their show, it's so funny because every episode he's like bringing home a new animal, and it's the funniest thing. But, anyways, this book is their first book that they wrote, and it essentially goes through how they started their business. They literally built it from nothing, and it's so inspiring if you're into business um, or anything, like if you're looking to get inspiration for a hobby or whatever. I think it's really inspiring to read, so I would recommend that. It's also nonfiction, so. He also just released a book on his own that I thought was really inspiring. But if I had to recommend out of the two, I would go for their first one, The Magnolia Story. Number 10. Number 10, I wrote on my list all of the classics. And essentially what I did in high school is I took a summer and I went and I read all of the books on the top 100 classics list. And they were all so good. There were a few that I wasn't so into, like Moby Dick. That's one of my least favorites. But if I had to narrow it down to just a few, I would say go for The Count of Monte Cristo, Pride and Prejudice, and maybe Frankenstein. I feel like a lot of people have read that one already, though, because that seems like one of the more common ones that people have read. I'm gonna stick with Frankenstein or Wuthering Heights. Regardless, just go through the classics list and just pick one and give it to them. Tale of Two Cities. I'm gonna change my answer to that one. I really like Tale of Two Cities. Although you have to read that in school, and I feel like not a lot of people liked it, but I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's my gift giving list, my top 10 book recommendations. I think there's a little bit of everything in there. There's romance, there's nonfiction, there's mystery, there's gay fiction, there's foreign fiction, there's horror, everything you could ever ask for. So yeah, I hope that was helpful to somebody. If not, I'm sorry. And I think that I'm going to wrap the vlog up here. I did want to say that I'm having a raffle for a cosplay photo book, which I suppose I can show you guys. It's hardback. It has 20 pages of my various cosplays. And you can enter by joining my Patreon, which I will leave the link to right here and also in my description. So if you're into that, you can join. And my Patreon also goes towards, it like encourages me to post YouTube content because I don't have a lot of subscribers, so I don't get paid on YouTube yet. And also you get rewards pertaining to my cosplay, like photo sets and access to my Discord and things like that. What else? Vlogmas Day 12 will hopefully be on time. This one, I'm going to release them separately because I want to do separate videos, but this one, Day 10 or 11, Day 10, will not be on time, unfortunately. Other than that, you can follow my social media. All the links are down below in the description. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. Leave a comment. I like hearing what you guys have to say, even if I don't always respond. And yeah, I'll see you in tomorrow's vlog. Bye!